Testing stream audio. Check one, two, three.
Hi, Counselor Tour. Can we test your audio, please?
Hi, good evening.
Perfect. Thank you.
Hi, Counselor Keenan. Please unmute your mic so we can test your audio.
Can you hear me okay?
Thank you. We can hear you. Hi, Councillor Maderos. Please unmute your mic so we can test your audio.
Hi, good evening.
Thank you. We can hear you. Hi, Councillor Vicente. If you can unmute your mic so we can hear you. Hi,
Sound
Councillor
check.
Vicente. If we can test your audio.
Good evening, everybody. I'll start with everybody asking everybody to put their phones on silent for the duration of the meeting, please. I'll start with roll call. Deputy Mayor Singh. Present. Councillor Santos.
Present.
Councillor Vincente.
Present.
Councillor Brar.
Present.
Councillor Keenan.
Present.
Councillor Medeiros.
Present.
Councillor Fortini.
Present.
Councillor Tour.
Present.
Councillor Power. All members are here today. I will call to order. Approval of the agenda has been moved by Councillor Power, that we approve the agenda and move it. All that. Anybody opposed? Seeing none, that carries. Declarations of conflict of interest. Are there any members that would like to declare a conflict of interest on any item that is on the agenda here today? Seeing none. We'll move to our consent agenda. There are only two real items that are up for consent. Item 8.1 is a staff report by Allison Sander, Strategic Leader Project Management Framework to guide discretionary fee relief decisions for minor variance applications. Anybody want to hold that?
Hold, please.
Councillor Tour. And item 9.1 is the minutes of the Active Transportation Advisory Committee meeting. That is in consent. No other items that are really up for consent. Councillor Singh will move the consent agenda, which is just 9.1 into consent. All in favor? That carries. We have a few statutory public meetings. I'm going to go through the list of statutory public meetings to get some of the ones that nobody's really here for out of the way, and then we'll get the ones that everybody, I think, is pretty much here for. Looking around the room, we'll get those up and squared off. But before I do that, I would like to recognize former councillor John Sanderson. John, it's great to see you. I can see that you don't look like you're getting any older. So you're getting younger, actually. That's not fair. Nice to see you, John. The first item is the application Gagnon Walker Dome Starbank Developments 285 Corporation proposal to permit the development of 15 mixed-use high-density residential buildings and retail commercial components south of Queen Street East, east of Rutherford Road South, north of Clark Boulevard, and west of Highway 410. Is there anybody in attendance today? If there is, that item will be held for for a staff report, or staff, presentation. Our next item is the application Argo TFP Brampton 3 Limited and Argo TFP Brampton Limited, Glenn Schnarr and Associates, to permit the development of 253 detached dwelling lots, 241 rear lane townhouses, 98 dual frontage townhouses, 15 park lots, an elementary school block, a stormwater management pond, natural heritage system, a park, open space walkways at 0 and 9553, 9577, and 9763 Heritage Road, Ward 6. Is there anybody in attendance to hear a presentation on that item? Seeing none, that item is adjourned. The next item is GIL Heritage Heights Inc., Glenn Schnarr and Associates. Purpose is to facilitate a mixed-use subdivision comprising of 6,289 residential units, ground floor retail space, a hospital block, a commercial block, a public park, and a stormwater management pond at 2055 Boulevard Drive West. Anybody in attendance to hear a presentation on that item? Seeing none, that item is adjourned. Next item is, I'm going to skip over the Churchville item because I think you're all here for Churchville. The next item is the Dempson Properties 1761540 Ontario Limited, Corsiac Urban Planning, to permit 36 single detached dwellings, 77 street townhouses, 34 dual front townhouses, 26 back-to-back townhouses, 1 mixed-use residential block, 6 corridor mixed-use A blocks, 1 corridor mixed-use B block, stormwater management pond, and a natural heritage system at 0 Heritage Road, Ward 6, east of Heritage Road, and north of the CN Rail. Is anybody in attendance to hear a presentation on that item? That item is adjourned. Along with the correspondence from Jenna Thibault, Weston Consulting. Item 6.7 is the public meeting for TFP Heritage Wanless Developments, Inc., 2125-325 Ontario Limited, 1761540 Ontario Limited, and Dempson Properties, Inc., Corsiac Urban Planning, to the purpose to seek approval of a block plan, official plan amendment, to facilitate a complete community including residential uses, employment lands, mixed-use neighborhood hubs, a central park, a protected natural heritage system area at 10869 Heritage Road, Ward 6. Is there anybody in attendance to hear a presentation on that item? Seeing none, that item is adjourned. And then the staff report from Allison, that's the only one, so we'll go right back to the one item which is the Credit View Road. Okay, I'll just ask but I know the answer. The next item, 6.4, applicant is Ameninder Barge and Resneet Barge Design Plan Services, Inc., to propose a facilitate a creation of 3 blocks consisting of a residential block, a natural heritage block, associated buffer block, with the residential block to be developed with 5 lots accessed by a private common element road at 7631 Credit View Road. Anybody in attendance to hear a presentation on? Oh, there's a few of them. Okay, good. Good. Okay, we'll go straight to staff, the staff presentation from Sagar Massa, the Planner Development Services, for the presentation. Sagar? Welcome. So, 6.4, right? I will, just before Sagar starts, I'll remind everybody, please put your phone on inaudible. If it goes off once, I'll give you a dirty look. If it goes off again, I'm going to ask you to leave. Okay? For staff, they've done this a few times, but for people that come down and delegate on items, it's very difficult sometimes to do public speaking, and I don't want phones going off during their delegations. Okay? This portion of the meeting and this one application is for you and you only. It's not for anybody here or Mr. Gagnon who keeps putting his hand up. I don't know why you're putting your hand up. Not today. No, thank you. I missed one? 6.1. It was, oh, it was held. Are you delegating? Oh, you and you, my apology. Okay, so I apologize. My fault. No problem. Okay, we're moving to Nitika Jagtiani from Planner Development Services. Is the Star Bank Developments 285 Corp. For the purpose of development of 15 mixed-use, high-density residential buildings with retail and commercial components. I apologize. Go ahead.
Hello. Good evening, Chair, Mr. Vice Chair, and members of the committee, members of the public and city colleagues. My name is Nitika Jakviani, and I'm the planner assigned to process and review the subject application. The purpose of this public meeting is to provide information to the public and seek feedback on the application filed by Gagnon Walker Domes on behalf of Starbank Developments 285 Corp. Next slide, please. The subject property is located in Ward 3 and is legally described as 285 and 295 Queen Street East. The site is located to the south of Queen Street East, north of Clark Boulevard, east of Rutherford Road, and west of Highway 410. This map shows an overview of the subject site within the property and the surrounding land uses. To the north of the subject site is Queen Street East. Lands further north contain commercial and retail land uses. To the south of the subject site forms part of Highway 410, Interchange, and Clark Boulevard. To the east is Highway 410. To the west of the subject site consists of retail, commercial uses, and a hotel. Further west along Clark Boulevard and Queen Street east to Rutherford Road consists predominantly retail, commercial, and industrial uses. Next slide, please. A site visit was conducted on July 21st, 2025. The above pictures represent current site conditions. The subject site currently has vacant land, restaurants, commercial businesses, no-frills, and ample parking to the east. Next slide, please. Here are a few more photos from the site visit representing the current conditions. The west of the subject lands contain commercial uses and a hotel which is outside the property line. Next slide, please. The applicant has submitted a proposal to amend the official plan, zoning bylaw, and for a draft plan of subdivision. The purpose of this application is to facilitate the redevelopment of the subject site for 15 mixed-use, high-density residential buildings with retail and commercial uses at grade. The proposed development will also create blocks and a public road network to facilitate the development. Further details include gross site area of 8.73 hectares, 21.57 acres, building heights ranging from 24 to 68 stories, 7,641 residential units with a mix of 1 to 2 bedroom and 1 2-bedroom plus den unit styles, 3,500 square feet of retail uses, 10,000 square meters of official office uses, over 8,000 parking spaces for residential and visitor use, which will be below grade, at grade, and above grade. The proposed development also proposes over 4,500 bicycle parking spaces, 14,500 of proposed open space in terms of privately owned public accessible spaces or POPs, a density FSI of 6.3 and a net density of 8.9 is proposed. Next slide, please. This slide reflects the architectural rendering for the proposed development. Next slide, please. Prior to finalizing recommendation and advancing associated final report to council, this development application will be further evaluated for compliance with the Planning Act as amended, consistency with the provincial policy statement, conformity to the growth plan for the Greater Golden Horseshoe, conformity to the region and the City of Brampton official plan, and Queen Street Corridor secondary plan. Next slide, please. The subject lands are designated central area in the City of Brampton's official plan, where Queen Street is a primary intensification corridor which permits a mix of uses, including those listed on the screen. An amendment to the official plan is not required to facilitate this development. Next slide, please. On June 6, 2024, Brampton Plan came into effect except for those policies and sections under appeal. The subject site is designated community areas, urban growth center, and within a primary major transit station area. The lands are also designated as mixed use within Schedule 2 of the Brampton Plan. Please note that Schedule 2 of the Brampton Plan is under appeal. Next slide, please. Please note that the subject lands are located within the Rutherford Major Transit Station area. The subject lands are designated high-rise mixed use, and there are overlays on the subject land, including proposed neighborhood park, proposed public or private street network, potential mid-block connection, and proposed pedestrian bridge. Schedule 13F which is also the Rutherford Land Use Plan, has been appealed and is not in effect. Next slide, please. The subject lands are within the Queen Street Corridor Secondary Plan and are designated Central Area Mixed Use, Primary Office Node, and Special Study Area. In addition, as per Schedule B of the Queen Street Corridor Secondary Plan, the subject site includes a proposed urban collector road. An amendment to the secondary plan is required to facilitate the proposed development. Next slide, please. A new secondary plan is proposed for the 7 MTSAs along Queen Street East between Bramley Road and downtown, and will include 2 precinct area plan schedules and guidelines for MTSA. The subject property is located within the proposed Queen Street East precinct plan and is specifically located within the community node character area, which is generally intended to provide significant public amenities and facilities, including a community hub, elementary school, and a neighborhood park. Provide a multimodal network that interconnects with adjacent character areas for convenience, access to the community hub, neighborhood park, and commercial uses, locate the greatest heights and densities surrounding the Rutherford BRT station and at the Queen Street East and Highway 410 interchange, foster an animated pedestrian active frontage by providing active at-grade non-residential uses. Next slide, please. As stated earlier, the subject lands are within the Queen Street Corridor Secondary Plan. The applicant is proposing to redesignate the subject lands to Central Area Mixed Use to facilitate the proposed mixed-use high-rise development with a maximum FSI of 10. In addition, the amendment to the secondary plan also proposes to add a local road and collector road within the subject lands. Next slide, please. The subject lands are zoned Queen Mixed-Use Transition and Special Area, Special Section 2946. Land uses permissions include, but are not limited to, commercial, institutional, and other accessory uses. An amendment to the zoning bylaw is required to facilitate the proposed development. Next slide, please. The applicant proposes to amend the zoning bylaw from the current zone to downtown commercial and the Queen Mixed-Use Transition Special Section. The applicant proposes site-specific amendments to allow for the proposed development with residential uses and commercial retail uses at grade within the proposed zone. Some of the uses include apartment buildings, student residence, senior citizen dwelling with mixed uses, and any uses permitted within the downtown commercial core zone or accessory to the permitted uses. Next slide, please. The slide shows the proposed site plan for the proposal. The owner has appealed the Rutherford MTSA land use schedule and other Brampton plan policies to the OLT, and therefore the policies and land use are not in effect. As the subject lands are within the Queen Street Corridor MTSA, some of the issues are alignment of the road network and potential mid-block connections to ensure connectivity with neighboring properties and to facilitate transit facilities, location of whether the essential community services and facilities will be provided to support growth in the MTSA, including a neighborhood park, community hub, and an elementary school, appropriateness of the proposed height, density, and build form in accordance with the MTSA objectives. Staff are hosting a statutory public meeting this evening to share information on the proposed amendment to the official plan and zoning bylaw, and for a plan of subdivision on the subject site, and provide an opportunity for members of the public to express comments, perspectives, and opinions. Staff will continue to review the applicant's planning rationale and supporting plans, drawings, and technical comments, and will advance a final recommendation report for a council decision in the future based on the details of the proposed development, applicable laws, and policies, while incorporating comments, considerations from community members, technical reviewers, and other stakeholders. Staff will also follow up with members of the public and other stakeholders who have spoken, written in, or advised of an interest in monitoring this proposal. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. For more information on the development proposal, the applicant's submission material is publicly accessible through the city's Bramplan online portal. Please type the file number of the application in the required field, which is OZS 2025-0022. This will bring up the file page where, by clicking the File Info tab, you will be able to view all drawings and documents associated with the development application. Next slide, please. This public meeting presentation will be available online as part of the Planning and Development Committee meeting minutes shortly. The final recommendation report will be posted on the city's PDC meeting agenda in advance of the future meeting. For any questions or comments about this development application, please contact myself, my manager, or the applicant, Andrew Walker from Gagnon Walker Domes, who is representing the owner, Starbank Development 285 Corp. The corresponding contact info is shown on the screen. That concludes my presentation. Thank you and have a good evening.
Thank you very much. Now I'll open it up to the floor. Would anybody like to come down and delegate? Andrew, I'll put you on last. Sylvia, come on down. Would you like to delegate, sir? Did you want to say? No, okay. Sylvia, you have 5 minutes.
Hello, my name is Sylvia Roberts. I'm a resident of Ward 3, or the ward that this is located in. I previously used to work right by this location, and I've been to this plaza many times. I've been following the Queen Street rezoning and planning for that, and one of the issues that continues to pop up is how your transportation impact studies are calculated. So if you look in this project, it assumes that 7% of people in this development are going to take transit, and also there's only going to be 0.7 parking spaces per unit. That doesn't make any sense. Part of the issue is how this isn't the applicant did something wrong or that planning staff told them to do something wrong. Rather, the entire process for calculating modal shift is fundamentally defective in the city because it's based on nearby locations, and the problem is this is all very high density, and the comparative locations are for single and semi-detached housing. As you may know, if you have 0.7 parking spaces per unit, that gives different transit usage than a single family detached where your driveway fits 2 to 6 cars. And this is going to pop up every single time you have an application in this corridor show up. What you should be using for a comparative is, for example, K-section, right just east of Bramley City Center. And if you look at their transit mode shift, based on the 2021 census data, it's 27% of them take transit. What this means is we are significantly underestimating the amount of transit usage necessary, and that causes problems because we are not putting enough money in the transit budget to be able to accommodate this. This means we're likely to hit a situation where you have a building open up and the bus is already full, and now it causes catastrophic issues for the entire Queen Street corridor, because we didn't bother to do the calculations right at the front end. So I don't know what process it is that involves updating the planning studies for an application for the transportation impact study. I don't think that's the transportation master plan, but that needs to be updated at some point because it's woefully outdated. The transportation demand management tools, or we'll give you a couple $100 or something on a Presto card, is also not very useful for actual transportation demand management. And part of this is because our transportation master plan is 10 years old, and it's based on a study that's even older than that. So we're actually making our transportation demand management decisions based on 20 years ago. And things have changed. For one, Presto has been put out. But it's not just that. Brampton has over 90% Presto usage, but there's a catch. The majority of people who live in Brampton do not work in Brampton, which means if you try to use monthly passes, which is what most major cities like Portland, Seattle, and a bunch of other cities use, those don't work on MyWay Transit. So as part of making this stuff all work and not causing catastrophic congestion issues, you need to actually create a transit pass that works in Brampton and Mississauga, so those can be used as transportation demand management tools. The other thing is, this application includes a ton of bike parking. That's great, we want that. There's one question. If people actually use the bikes, where are they supposed to park after they leave their home and the bike parking space there? Let's say 1% of the people with long-term bike parking spaces try to use the Rutherford soon. Well, congratulations. There's no space to put the bikes. So if you want bike usage, you need to have a place to actually put the bikes. And additionally, if you look at the right-of-way for Queen Street, it is extremely confined, and that means that I'm still waiting to see the Queen Street BRT preliminary design business case, but you're likely to look at extremely large amounts to widen it. One of the solutions to make projects like this work and actually get cycling usage is to plan for cycling infrastructure along Clark. If you look at our extension and widening of Clark/Eastern Avenue, we do have a cycle track there. What needs to be put in planning, especially for this development, is to have cycling infrastructure going from the west side of the 410 to the east side. Because if you can easily bike to Bramley City Center, that is actually a very big draw. And if you build that continuous corridor, then you can also very easily get to downtown Brampton. So you could actually divert those trips. If you don't build that infrastructure, the car usage is just going to completely overload the existing routes. Thank you. That's my delegation.
Thank you very much for your delegation. Anybody else like to come down and say a few words? Come on in. If there's anybody else that would like to come down, they can be ready. Hi, welcome. Please state your name for the record.
Sonia Delcardo. So I live in that area. I live on Archdeacon, and I go to that plaza quite often. And the congestion for me to turn onto Queen Street at, I guess it's Rutherford and Queen Street.
We're going to push the mic down a little bit closer. That's
Okay.
perfect.
So for me to even turn on that street, you're always caught in the middle of the intersection over there. There's never a day that I don't see cars stuck in the middle of that intersection. Now you want to put 16 units or buildings over there with maybe 7,000 more people. If half of those people drove cars, where are they going to get through that late? Not only that, my commute to Mississauga for work is over an hour to come home because the 410 is a disaster from Steeles getting across all the way going north. Now you're going to add another 4,000 people driving on the 410? If this is the case, I'm moving out of Brampton. You're not going to see my taxes. This is a deal breaker for me. I don't know where you guys come up with these planning meetings and think that 16 units on that one corner is good for Brampton. Yes, we have a housing shortage, but that's not my problem. I don't want to be stuck in the middle of my intersection or taking an hour to 2 hours to get home every day just to reside in Brampton because you guys want to put a big density of people in one area of land. It's too many people, too many high rises. You know, there's only two exits, either from Clark Street or the 410 to get on the 410 at Queen Street. And you're going to put a bunch of people on that one parcel of land? No, it's unacceptable. I'm not happy with this. And a lot of my neighbors, when they weren't even told about this. I got this paper in the mail and I said to my neighbor, did you hear about this? No. My next door neighbor, the other one, did you know about this? No, no one knows about this. And everyone said the same thing. They're not happy. You know, I'm not happy with this and where you guys are going with this. So
let me start by saying we're not doing anything. If the landowner wants to do something and they're bringing it forward. So we didn't initiate it. Nothing has been initiated by the city of Brampton. Everybody that owns a piece of property, if they want to make a change to that piece of property, they have the right to come before us. So this meeting is the sole purpose of letting you know. As for your neighbors, they put their notification probably exactly where I put all of my junk mail, in the garbage. You read your mail,
Yes,
that's why then you went to your neighbors, right?
yes.
Like most people. We talked about it today, we talk about it all the time. We send our notifications out to 250 meters, 240 meters outside of wherever the application is, when the Planning Act says 150, 120. Close with my numbers. So we try to go above and beyond. We've always tried to find out different ways to notify the public. We're doing, I think, everything what we can, other than making like a serious budget amendment to have somebody go to your house and knock on your door and actually drag you here. But this is that opportunity. Staff are taking all of your comments. The applicant is taking all of your comments. So once this application comes forward, staff will review it with a fine-tooth comb. They'll make sure that it meets all of the planning items criteria. If it does and if it doesn't, it'll then come back to planning for planning committee members to debate the issue before it then goes to council. So there's the whole step process, but I do wanted to let you know.
And how long is this process? How long would this process take? Like, when are they thinking of
Let's
building
say
this?
if in the future crystal ball, if it's approved, you mean, or it
If
debated?
it's approved?
Approved, you're looking at 3 years, possibly, before construction, before occupancy.
Through the chair, at this point in time, I'd hazard a guess, but that seems an approximate timeline. It's safe to say. For the
Staff
purpose.
can't give you the, I think we're usually 2-3 years. They have to demolish, right? They have to do a lot still.
Sure.
And that's another environmental concern, to demolish all that stuff there. There's a no frills there. There's other, another restaurant, I believe, that was there. That was the Pizza Hut. Like, it's a bunch of environmental issues now that you gotta demolish, then building, construction of all these units. Like, that doesn't sound very, appealing for a resident like myself to, come home after work to be hearing construction all day or dust in the air.
For sure. Yep.
So,
Thank you for your delegation.
thank you.
Also, anybody that delegated here on any of the files today, you will all be notified when the report is coming back to planning. So there's that on top of it as well. Anybody else like to come and delegate on this item? Seeing none. We're all just getting warmed up for Churchville. Nice to see everybody from Churchville. Andrew. Welcome, sir. Please state your name for the record. You have 5 minutes.
Good evening, Chair, members of the committee. My name is Andrew Walker, partner, principal planner with Gagnon Walker Domes. I'm here this evening with Mr. Razamady, partner at Turner Fleischer Architects. We're here on behalf of Starbank's 285 Developments, Starbank Developments 285 Corp. Now I'm getting tongue-tied. Along with the full project team, some are in attendance, also virtually as well. We're here in connection with the application to amend the official plan zoning and draft plan subdivision for 285 and 295 Queen Street East. If I could get the next slide, please. And actually, you can go to the next slide after that. So as mentioned, the subject site is located positionally at the corner of Highway 410 and Queen Street East. It's located on the north side of Clark, south side of Queen, and on the west side of Highway 410 with a main driveway that bisects the site. Next slide, please. The site, as was mentioned before by staff, is located within the urban growth center, central area, and intensification corridors. And these are areas that are served to serve the highest planned heights and densities. The urban growth center is to achieve a density of 200 per units and residents and jobs combined per hectare by 2031, and the MTSA that we're within is 160 persons and jobs per hectare. Next slide, please. The site, as mentioned before, is located in the Rutherford MTSA. We're within the mixed-use high-rise designation, and that is a designation that's extending across the entirety of the Queen Street corridor on the south side from the Highway 410 to the west. Next slide, please. A quick summary of the proposal. It's for 15 high-rise towers ranging between 24 and 68 stories in height with various podium sizes. Approximately 7,600 residential units are planned for a variety of unit types. Private indoor and outdoor amenity spaces are proposed. A little over 8,800 parking spaces, 4,500 bicycle parking spaces, along with a new public and private road network. Next slide, please. Approximately 30 technical studies and plans have been prepared and submitted to the city in support of the application. It highlights the extensive list of technical studies and reports that have been prepared to date, demonstrating a great deal of thought and analysis on the project. I'm going to turn it to Raza, and if I could get the next slide, please.
Thank you, Andrew. So getting right into it, illustrated here is the landscape master plan for the proposed development, illustrating or showing the distribution of the 15 high-rise towers that are proposed. In the dark gray hatch, you can also see the proposed public road network, as well as some of the private road or private driveway conditions shown. What I also want to highlight here is in green is the public open spaces and landscape areas that are distributed throughout the development. And in particular, as you can see at the center of the development, what we're referring to as the Phase 3 component, or the Phase 3 lands of the proposal, features a single tower that then cascades down into a series of steps that is grounded by a 50,000 square foot food store, 30,000 square foot food store and a open space, green space component. Next slide, please. These are just some aerial renderings illustrating the proposed massing of the development. Next slide, please. And as you can, next slide. So these are some street views that illustrate the proposed animation and activation around that public realm and ground level. And as you can see in some of these views as well, are the proposed green spaces that flank the majority of the corners and street frontages of the proposed road network and private driveway conditions. Next slide, please. And again, some additional street views illustrating the landscape spaces and the ground floor units, ground floor retail spaces, and animation within the public realm. And that's it. Thank you. Oh, sorry. Actually, I'll just speak to this one here. That bottom rendering again illustrates that Phase 3 component with the food store at the bottom left corner, the open space at the bottom right corner, and the cascading tower element that creates the central feature of the proposed development. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, and perfect timing. Chair Fletcher.
Thank you very much. There are no questions. Deputy Mayor Singh, you'll move receipt of the application and the delegations. All in favor, plus the correspondence. That carries. The next item is finally back to Sagar. To facilitate the creation of 3 blocks consisting of a residential block, a natural heritage block, associated buffer block, and a residential block to be developed with 5 lots accessed by a private common element road. Ready when you are.
Good evening, Chair, Vice Chair, and members of committee, members of public, and city colleagues. My name is Sagar Massa, and I'm the planner assigned to process and review the subject application. The purpose of public meeting is to provide information to public and seek feedback on application filed by Design Plan Services, Inc. on behalf of Amaninder Bahar and Rasnit Barj. Next slide, please. The subject property is located in Ward 6 and is legally described as 7631 Credit View Road. The site is located to the east of Credit View Road South and north of Highway 407. Next slide, please. This map shows an overview of the subject site within the property and surrounding land uses. To the north of the subject site, there are existing single detached dwellings, and beyond those is the Credit View, Credit River, and Churchville Park. To the south, the site is also bordered by existing single detached dwellings. To the east, the site is adjacent to the natural heritage system with the Credit River located further beyond. To the west, the site fronts onto Credit View Road. On the opposite side of the road, there are existing single detached dwellings along with Ontario Land Tribunal approved subdivision for 6 single detached dwellings. Next slide, please. The following shows an aerial satellite image of the subject site. The subject land front onto Credit View Road and are surrounded by natural heritage features, woodlands, and existing residentials that reflects the character of Churchville Heritage Conservation District. Next slide, please. A site visit was conducted on July 23, 2025. The site contains an existing dwelling near the railroad line and access driveway, sod-covered open area, and mature trees along the property boundaries. Next slide, please. The applicant has submitted a proposal to amend the zoning bylaw and for a draft plan of subdivision. The purpose of this application is to facilitate the development of 5 residential lots accessed by a private condominium road. The proposal includes a plan of subdivision to create 1 residential block, 1 natural heritage system block, and 1 buffer block. Further detail includes retention of the existing single detached dwelling on the subject property, creation of 4 new single detached residential lots each with minimum of 1,350 square meters lot area, minimum of 30 meters meters of lot frontage, minimum of 40 meters lot depth, and dwelling of approximately 250 square meter gross floor area each. Access will be provided from Credit View Road via future private common element condominium road to be established through a subsequent draft plan of condominium. Next slide, please. Prior to finalizing recommendation and advancing associated final report to Council, this development application will be further evaluated for compliance with the Planning Act as amended and Heritage Act, consistency with provincial policy planning statement, and conformity to the City of Brampton official plan, Brampton Plan, Bram West Secondary Plan 40C, and Churchville Heritage Conservation District Plan. Next slide, please. The subject lands are designated village, residential, and open space in the City of Brampton official plan. The village residential designation permits residential uses in low-density, low-intensity forms of housing, generally characterized by large individual lots. In addition, convenience commercial uses, community services, craft and home workshops or offices may also be permitted, subject to the detailed criteria outlined in the applicable secondary plan. The open space designation permits public and private open space uses, including valley lands, watercourse, corridor, wetland, and woodlands. An amendment to the official plan is not required to facilitate this development. Next slide, please. On June 6, 2024, Brampton Plan came into effect, except for those policies and sections under appeal. The subject site is designated neighborhoods, natural heritage system, and Parkway Belt West within Schedule 2 designation of Brampton Plan. Please note that Schedule 2 of the Brampton Plan is under appeal. Next slide, please. The subject land are located within the Bram West Secondary Plan Area 40C and are designated village residential, which permits low-density housing on large lots. The property is also part of original Churchville settlement area and is located within the Churchville Heritage Conservation District. The application must be reviewed and approved by Heritage Board prior to Council consideration of the zoning bylaw amendment and draft plan of subdivision. Development must preserve and reflect the unique historical character of village residential designation. An amendment to the secondary plan is not required. Next slide, please. The subject property is currently zoned residential hamlet 2 and floodplain. Within the residential hamlet 2, permitted uses include single detached dwelling, supportive housing residence type 1, accessory uses to these residential purposes. Within the floodplain zone, permitted uses are limited to flood and erosion control, conservation purposes, public park, golf courses. An amendment to the zoning bylaw is required to allow the proposed development. Next slide, please. The applicant is proposing to rezone the property from residential hamlet 2 to residential hamlet 2 with special section. This change is needed to allow the development of 5 single detached homes on large lots with access from a private condominium road. The special section will also permit a slightly reduced lot depth from 45 meters to 40 meters and recognize the existing residential building on the property with its current and future setbacks. All other requirements of residential hamlet 2 zone will be continue to apply. The natural heritage areas on the site will be protected under a floodplain zone. Next slide, please. At this time, preliminary issues and considerations that will need to be addressed include review of the supporting environmental impact study to confirm the appropriate environmental buffers and boundary of natural heritage system, review of arborist report, and proposed trees removal. Further environmental investigation regarding the existing on-site sewage system, appropriateness of the built form and design in relation to the existing character of Churchville Heritage Conservation District, appropriateness of the proposed lot pattern and retention of the existing single detached dwelling, appropriateness of the location for site access and use of private condominium road. Next slide, please. Staff is hosting a statutory public meeting this evening to share information for proposed zoning bylaw amendment and a draft plan of subdivision on the subject site and provide an opportunity for members of the public to express comments, perspective, and opinions. The staff will continue to review the applicant's planning, rational, and supporting plans, drawing, and technical comments. And staff will advance a final recommendation report for council decision in the future based on the detail of the proposed development and applicable planning laws and plus policies, while incorporating comments and consideration from the community member, technical reviewers, and other stakeholders. Staff will also follow up with members of the public and the other stakeholders who have spoken, written in, or advised of an interest in monitoring this proposal. Next slide, please. For more information on the development proposal, the applicant's submission materials, including architectural plans, drawings, and supporting studies, they are all publicly accessible through the city's brand plan online portal. Please type the file number of the application in the required field, and which is in this case OZS-2025-0027. This brings up the file page where by clicking the File Info tab, you will be allowed to view all the drawings and documents associated with this development application. Next slide, please. This public meeting presentation will be available online as part of Planning and Development Committee meeting minutes shortly. The final recommendation report will be posted on the city's PDC meeting agenda in advance of the future meeting. For any question or comment regarding this application, please contact me, my manager, or applicants using the information displayed on the screen. That includes my presentation. Thank you and have a good evening.
Thank you very much. So with that, let's get into it. We have 15 delegations. And I guess I'll start by saying it's really nice to see all of Churchville here. I know for some of you, you probably don't want to be here, but for me, it's really nice because it brings back a lot of memories, especially memories of my dad and being here and actually watching my dad and John Hutton. You know, debate and talk about things that were Churchville. So it's super nice. And with that, we'll start it off. Amandio Vieira, come on down. Come on down. No, come to the podium. Okay? And then we already have that you're here, so.
Okay, my name is Amendi Vieira. I'm a resident. I've been there at Churchville for 20 years. I'm at 7646 Credit View Road. And one of the things that I'm interested in knowing is I was on holidays. And when I returned, I was on holidays for 9 days. And when I returned, I was informed by one of the neighbors that apparently there was a plan going on that property, 7631, I believe it was. I was just wondering, what is the process that you have in place right now in terms of notifying all the residents, sending notices out and everything else? Because I never received anything at all. I was informed by one of the neighbors and also given a further form, which was copied. I don't know where she got it. And then I was to fax that in order to be able to speak at this hearing. So what steps are in place in terms of the landowner or the city of Brampton in order to be properly notified, and what is the time constraint required to notify these residents to review everything that's in place or whatever the plans are? And that's basically for now what I'd like to know. Yes. Thank you.
Happy to entertain if staff want to, or they can go ahead, Alan.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, I can advise members of the community that with all development applications, as per the province's Planning Act requirements, which we have to follow, there is a requirement for public meetings and a notice for those public meetings. We are to provide a letter to the owners of properties within 120 meters of a property that is subject to a development application. City of Brampton doubles that amount effectively. Council has decided to have us send notices not to 120 meters from the subject property, but 240 meters. Beyond that, we also require that a sign be posted on the subject property notifying of the development. We also do put a notice on the digital Brampton Guardian webpage and on the city's webpage as well, notifying all of the development application in the public meeting. Thank you.
And the sign posted on the, did you say the sign? Sorry, I missed that. Okay. Ray Gunnis. Ray? Well, sorry.
Sorry, Mr. Chair, there is a piece that was specifically asked for that I omitted, but in particular, the notices do have to be provided at least 20 days in advance of the public meeting.
Thanks, Alan. Ray, you have 5 minutes.
Thank you. Ray Gunnis, I live in Churchville as well, and been living in Brampton since 1975, seen a lot of changes. My kids grew up here. They left Brampton because of the changes, and I did the second best thing. I went to Churchville. So I appreciate living there. I appreciate the neighborhood, the people, the heritage, the community, and it just concerns me when I see, an initiative like this. And I just want to make sure that, everything is compliant so it upholds the beauty of our neighborhood. And, from a Credit Valley Conservation perspective, I'm not sure if they're going to do some sort of report from a wildlife perspective, from the Heritage Board. I just want to make sure that we're compliant. I understand the gentleman has the right to do what he's asking for, and my main concern is that until I see these reports and read through them thoroughly, I cannot provide my support for this initiative until I thoroughly understand what's going on there. And that's it about it for me. Thank you.
Thank you, Ray. I can speak on behalf of Credit Valley Conservation because I'm the chair of Credit Valley Conservation. They'll definitely be providing comments. Thanks, Ray. Antonio Michelle Pinero. Antonio? Michelle? You're obviously being told. I know why you're arguing it. Come on down. Oh, very good.
Hello, my name is Antonio Pinero. My wife
Michelle's up there. This is my son Michael. We live at 7638 Credit View Road. We've been there since 2008. We were blessed to build a home and been living there since 2012. And when we did this, everything had to be put through to the Heritage Committee. And we complied to what the laws were. And I just can't see a property being split into 5 different homes being part of our community, because that's not what our community has been for the last, I don't know, 200 years. It's been large properties with beautiful homes and families that have been there for a long time. My wife and I have been talking with the neighbors. It just, yeah, the gentleman has the right to do it, but I can't agree with what's going on there. Just can't.
Okay. Thank you for your delegation. Dorota Basentowski. Okay. We can take it as correspondence. We have a number of letters that we'll be taking it as correspondence as well. Catherine Folston. Welcome, Catherine. Welcome, Catherine.
Hello, I'm Catherine. I live at 7640 Credit View Road. I'm here with many of my neighbors to strongly object to this proposal for development and to ask for the support of our city planners, the Heritage Board, councillors, and our mayor to help protect and strengthen Brampton's only heritage district. This proposal goes against many of Churchville Heritage District guidelines. If permitted, it would also be a precedent-setting decision. It would open up the floodgates to developers that are watching and waiting for the green light for more subdivision and eroding of the integrity of our district. This is the 3rd time and the 3rd owner in the past 12 years that have attempted to subdivide this lot. The previous 2 owners were denied due to incomplete applications. This new owner, since 2023, has put up the funds for all the reports and the substantial filing fees, which is how we find ourselves here. I note that the presentation made tonight under the planning framework did not even mention the Churchville Heritage District or the Ontario Heritage Act, which I think it should be considered, and maybe that's the job of the Heritage Board. A private condominium road is a sly way of getting around some of the guidelines, including no frontage onto Credit View Road, allowing front and side yard fencing. There are very many inconsistencies between the proposal and the guidelines of our Heritage District: lot widths and depths, fencing, insufficient parking allowance, light pollution. I could go on and on, but I won't. I'm confident that all the variances and errors will be addressed via the Heritage Board. I'd like to encourage all my neighbors here tonight to attend the meeting at the Heritage Board when it comes up on the agenda. This particular area of Churchville is known for its wide open vistas, large mature trees, and landscaping. The arborist report indicates destruction of at least 6 large trees which are protected. The report calls this minor, and they will replace it with other plantings. But nothing can replace these majestic trees, least of all a little bush. The new owner has already proven themselves to be bad actors. In the past 2 years, their property has been unkept, garbage-ridden. It's operating as an Airbnb for large parties. The police have been called several times over the past few months, and it speaks volumes as to their intentions. This proposal for subdivision would negatively impact the rural character of the village just from the light pollution alone. If allowed, it will dilute the Heritage District and set the stage for further degradation. While we understand some sympathetic intensification in Churchville is inevitable, this subdivision is not in keeping with the Heritage District in any way. Please, to our city staff and elected officials, support keeping our Heritage District strong and whole. Do not allow this very important precedent-setting subdivision and zoning bylaw to pass through and be approved by our city.
Thank you, Catherine. Next we have online, we have Sarah Sorrell Katem. Sarah, you there? Not Siri. I don't know what to do now. Okay, second name again. Do we have her online? Can we unmute her? You can go ahead, Sarah. Sarah, if you're there, you can go ahead and unmute yourself. We have you on there. Different Sarah. No? Okay. We have Sarah Pengeli's audio, right? Right, okay. We're going to go to Venkata Valanki. Venkata? Here? Is present? Not present? Online? Not online. Okay. Aisha Khan. Aisha? Hey. Aisha and Nuwan. Welcome. Good, how are you? Good, good. Come on up, you have 5 minutes.
Hello, everybody. So we are the residents at 7746 Churchville Road. I don't really have 5 minutes worth of anything to say. Please don't let this happen. There's no lack of buildings and residential projects going on. Please don't do this here.
I would like to just echo what my wife said and just talk to you as my counselor in my ward. The only heritage district that exists in Brampton is Churchville, and we all know that. There is already a lot of places in this city that are being subdivided, changed, and all that other things that are happening. Churchville is very, very special to the residents that live there. Me and my family have been there since 2016. We have fallen in love with the community there. The fact that we're hearing about removal of trees is actually quite upsetting to us, mainly because some of those trees have been on that land well before Brampton was even Brampton, before this was even a part of the city. These are over 200-year-old trees. The little village and hamlet that is Churchville is well over 200 years. It was founded by Mormons. Like, these are things that will not come back. And I appreciate the fact that someone wants to subdivide their thing, but hearing from the neighbors that live right next to it, we are very sensitive to those. We've had an individual come into our community, buy a home, try to subdivide it, turn it into an Airbnb, turn it into a rooming house, and then nothing is protected, okay? We've had to engage with our neighbors, protect our neighborhood from people coming in at night, whatever they felt like. Putting on fireworks and being inconsiderate. 3 in the morning, we have small children, we have small children at home that sleep. My house has been hit by fireworks. I can't even imagine what would happen to you in that area with 6 houses. So we are not in this area. We are divided from. However, we have great respect for what our little neighborhood holds and what it means to the city. And to be honest with you, as the people that should be protecting it, we would like to object to anything that would change it in such a manner that would cause discomfort to the people that have built that city up and have maintained the aesthetic of that area. And that's all I have to say. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for your delegation. Tom Paniak. Tom? Not, okay. Richard. Rich? Welcome, Richard. You have 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good evening, everyone. For those who don't know me, my name is Richard Kelly, a longtime resident of the village of Churchville. Just a little bit more about myself. My family moved into Churchville in 1983. My parents still live in the village. They're going to delegate next. About 17 years ago, I moved back into the village with my wife and kids, and we've lived there ever since, so I've been living in the village for approximately 35 years and counting. Part of the allure of moving my family back to the village of Churchville was the fact that it's covered under the Heritage District Plan, which ensures that the unique features of the village will not be changed. To the applicants, I'm not sure if they're here, I do rise with some empathy towards the property owners of 7631 Credit View Road, as approximately 8 years ago I had to follow a similar path through this bureaucracy of applications and considerations to build within the village of Churchville. The fundamental and important difference is my application involved demolishing an old cottage-style single-family dwelling and replacing it with a new single-family dwelling, not the creation of a new subdivision in the village, which is proposed here tonight. With that in mind, I rise in opposition to the proposed subdivision of the property at 7631 Credit View Road, which proposes a total of 5 residential homes on one subject property. For your consideration here, I have a bit of the history of the Heritage District Plan. In the late 1980s, a group of local residents sought to ensure that the specific, unique, and distinct features of the village of Churchville remain permanently unchanged. Through the advocacy of these villagers, Bylaw 219-1990 was adopted by the City of Brampton Council, and Churchville was declared a heritage district, and its features, buildings, and characteristics would be permanently protected. Pardon me. Since the adoption of the district plan, the plan clearly and effectively guides residents and property owners on the intentions and guidelines for effective management of our heritage district. What is not contemplated within the district plan, nor should it be, is the creation of private lanes or condominium roads. The creation of these private lanes or condominium roads simply creates false frontage to comply with the 30-meter frontage rules, which violate both the intent and spirit of the bylaws designated to protect our heritage district. It should also be noted, and I'm sure other delegates will say the same, that if we approve this proposal, it will most certainly initiate the destruction of our heritage district, rendering the village unrecognizable and without its features that make us unique from other areas of the city not regulated by such district plans. I do understand that the applicant has submitted a heritage impact assessment created by MHBC Planning Limited, and it was found on the City of Brampton's website, where at page 5, they identify potential adverse impacts of their proposed redevelopment. Specifically, it states, potential impacts as it relates to future construction of new dwellings on subdivided lots. Further review is required at the appropriate stage in the future whether or not the detailed design complies with the district plan. In response to this, I say, I believe we are at the appropriate stage, as their impact assessment states, and I think we should reject their plan. Along with the other delegates present tonight, both in person and virtually, I hope this board rejects the proposed subdivision of 7631 Credit View Road and continues its protection of the village of Churchville. I thank you for your time and your considerations.
Thanks, Rich. Andrew?
Good evening, Chair. Nice to see you, committee members, staff. That guy talks a lot. Thanks for listening to me. I've been a resident in Churchville for 42 years. I've raised my family here, and I predate the Heritage District Act and the RHM2 zoning. I agree with most of those acts, and I abide by them. I also predate city water and sewers. We have developed a community here that we would like to preserve. The cutting up of these existing properties is a slope we don't want to be on. If this is allowed, what happens to the remaining open land in our area? I can't speak to the services in the area, water and sewers, etc. But I do know that these homes will add 3 to 4 new cars per household. This is all planned on a private laneway. I just don't see that as practical. On another note, the traffic in the village at rush hour is just excessive, to say the least. No amount of speed bumps or other legislation has helped this problem at all. Although this application may comply with the rules as written, it's clearly not wanted and in the interest of the residents here. Thank you for listening to me.
Thank you, Andrew. Kelly Gill and Craig Randall. Kelly Gill? No? Online? Not? Ladies and gentlemen, Marianne Gallagher.
Wonderful residents of Churchville. I have been a resident of Churchville for 58 and a half years. Same house. My husband bought the property back in 1955. So we know what we're doing there. I have been on your Heritage Board. I was on the Ratepayers Committee. And we have worked damn hard to keep our village unique. Right now, the traffic problems are horrendous. I have a letter signed by your father, Michael, that told us 18 years ago we were going to have Steeles Avenue widened and lights put at Churchville. Well, we've got the lights, but that doesn't work because between 3 and 6 we can't get into the village from Steeles. But my main concern is the building going on in the village. You've had this application now for 7 homes. I know there's another application out there for 8 homes. With the Heritage Board, we had said there'd be no private roads. That's something the city agreed upon. Now they're talking about putting a private road in. And if it's going to be 5 homes, you're looking at least 15 cars that are going to be up and down Credit View Road every day. Credit View Road is not built to take that kind of traffic. It never has been. It's only 1 lane each direction. And the bridge, one of these days you're going to hear where the bridge is going to cave in. I have talked to the city about that they need some repairs. But my main concern is the residents don't want development. That's the reason we went Heritage. So we wouldn't get the development. We would be able to maintain the village as a village. We're the only village really in Brampton now. And we've been there since 1815. So, you know, I think we've earned some brownie points. And with the cemetery, that's been there since 1822. And I have a problem bringing traffic in and out of the cemetery when we do a good-sized funeral. So I think the city has to look into what this person's after, because if they're going for 5 homes now, how many more later? That's part of our problem, and we have to look after the village because we're the ones that are living there. We chose to live there because it's quiet, it's close to things. Okay, we don't have transportation in the village, which is fine. We don't need buses. But it would be nice to be able to get out of your own driveway without trucks and cars, and people come into the village, realize they can't get out, so they come up Martins Boulevard through the park. We've got 9 little children under the age of 9 years old. that like to play on the road. We can't do that. So we have to protect the village. And I think everyone here who has spoken so far feels the same way. And we should have meetings with our councillors in Churchville instead of us having to come all the way into Brampton. This, coming up to the big city. Thank you.
Thank you, Marion. Monica Lendroff. Monica? Welcome, Monica. You have 5 minutes.
Hi, my name is Monica Lendorf. I live 7615 Credit View Road. I lived there for 15 years and I'm very happy over there. I'm strongly opposed the proposal work for the new additional dwelling as all of my neighborhood. A lot of have been said already. I just want to say there's around us subdivisions which is all look like a cookie cutter, and if we're going to allow those, it will take away from our hamlet of Churchville. We also have a lot of, additionally we have wildlife which is actually crossing that property 7631. We have coyotes, deers, if that matters to anyone. To me, yes, it does a lot. We have red foxes, and there is also white owls, Canadian one owls, which one we didn't have for 100 years. I just didn't know that. I just find out in a paper. So to adding those 4 more dwellings will keep chipping away from that what we have left. And adding those homes will start to erode those feelings and set up for more properties to make amendments. So I strongly suggest you to decline this proposal. That's it.
Thank you very much for your delegation.
Thank you.
Okay, and we have a recording from Sarah.
My name is Sarah Pengelly. I've lived in the village of Churchville for 44 years, now at 7767 Churchville Road. New lots in the village is nothing new. In fact, it's why Churchville exists. 6 100-acre grants were issued to War of 1812 American immigrants between 1821 and 1858. Lot severances began, and so did Churchville. We are here about a part of one of those 100-acre Crown grants, bought by Erastus Wyman, who became Churchville's first developer. In 1856, Wyman's plan of subdivision was approved for business and house lots. More subdivisions and severances followed. In 1939, a plan was approved for a portion of Mr. and Mrs. Martin's land, which we now know as Churchville Park, into lots for cottages that shared a common driveway. In 1990, the new Churchville Heritage Conservation District and Plan lulled residents into believing that Churchville would remain as it was. In reality, new development would not be stopped, but it would be guided by the zoning bylaw approved along with the district plan. Including the amendments between 1990 and 2007, this bylaw spelled out frontage, setbacks, gross floor area, and building height in the Heritage Village. Since then, 2 notable applications for subdivision were approved. 60-plus acres of the Heritage District became the subdivision, bordered by Churchville Road, Steeles Avenue, and the train tracks, with hundreds of new houses. A few more acres became part of the subdivision that's east of Financial Drive from Steeles to the 407. Today we are commenting on a new proposal of development, a plan of subdivision to add only 4 new lots on a condominium road, essentially the same as Martin's common driveway plan. There is nothing new, innovative, or shocking here. It is supported by the last 200-plus years of the subdivision and development of Churchville, from 6 100-acre farms to a residential village. I support this proposal.
Okay. Yeah, Sarah, if you're listening, thank you for your delegation. As that was the last delegation, we'll open it up to the floor. If anybody else would like to come down and say a few words, now is your opportunity to do so. Anybody else? Come on down. If there's anybody else that would like to come down, then you can come down and you just put your name in the book. Come on forward, state your name for the record.
Hi there, my name is Agnes. I am actually a new resident at Churchville. I bought a piece of land. We built a new home. We went through this process, and it was a grueling process because it's a heritage area. And we knew that from the get-go. We fell in love with this area because of the heritage vibe. Right now, I object, my husband objects, to having 5 lots being put in one location. Currently, the traffic is horrendous. I have a 5-year-old and I have 2 dogs. I have to watch how I walk on Churchville Road because the traffic is that terrible. You add 5 more homes, that's 15 cars. That's more traffic. I don't want to take away from the beauty of heritage. I didn't invest into heritage, into Churchville. If I knew that this was going to be the plan for the next 6 years, I would have went to a different city altogether. I have an empty lot right beside me. If you approve of this now, guess what? That empty lot beside me, that's 3 new homes right beside me. I am moving out of the village. I did not invest my hard-earned money, and I did not want to build a future for my son in an area where I know that it's going to be a subdivision. So I fully object to this proposal.
Thank you for your delegation. Well, welcome, Harry Blackburn. Harry, please state your name for the record.
Hello, my name's Harry Blackburn. I'm a resident of Churchville, not quite as long as Gordon Marianne, but we've been there 50 years plus, a few months. Back in 1990, the village was very diligent in coming to council to get a designation for the village of Churchville, as we wanted to maintain, as people have said, to maintain the integrity of a small village. Being the only district in Brampton, and I know Brampton's been trying to get a heritage district in downtown and have been unsuccessful. Anyway, I guess just a couple of people have said almost everything that I would have said, other than I just wondered why this meeting was being held prior to the Credit Valley Conservation Authority and Heritage Board reviewing the plan. I just think it's kind of out of order that we're here tonight. That's my comment. Really pleased to see the turnout tonight. I was notified just through an email and also a resident coming around with flyers. I would ask that the city, for for any proposal in the future, that they send letters notifying all the neighbors within the village of Churchville. It's about 105 homes, and we are all concerned about any development proposals within the village. Thank you.
Thanks, Harry. I'll double check. I would think, I don't know, 240 meters, I would think that all of Churchville would have received the notices, but we'll double check on that on our side. But also, the first comment, this is the start of the process, Harry. So it would start here and then it's gonna go out. So it's not gonna, like Credit Valley Conservation wouldn't comment until it's come to its proper spot in the planning process. And that's where we are here today, for you first. If there's anybody else, sorry, nope, I'm sorry, it's not a debate. But if anybody else would like to come down and ask any questions, they can come down now. Come on down. If anybody else would like to ask any questions or have a delegation, you can come down now, and I'm gonna ask you to put your name in the book and stand in a line, because I'm not gonna be asking if anybody else would like to come down again. Thanks, go ahead.
Good evening. Thank you for the time here to speak. I just want to echo my thoughts, kind of similar to the other residents of Churchville. I'm a new resident of Churchville, been here with my family for about 4 years. And I think what's important to take into consideration here is the intent of what the Heritage Act was meant to be, which is to preserve the beauty and the nature of the history of Churchville. And I think that in approving this application, what you're actually doing is opening up a precedent that, you know, if you look at the properties in Churchville, almost every single one of them is a large property, and you set a precedent that each one of them could be turned into a private laneway and a bunch of houses, which would destroy, you know, the beauty and the heritage of the district. So just wanted to share that and echo my support for not passing the application proposed tonight. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your delegation. I'll close with, to members of staff, to committee. If you haven't worked on an application like this before, you're about to work on something that, let me just say, welcome to Churchville. Churchville residents know exactly what the rules, the policies are, and they will go through everything that you have in that report with a fine-tooth comb. For those of you who have worked on applications in Churchville before, you know the residents of Churchville are vocal. They're really, really smart. They know exactly, they know planning, they know the rules, certainly the rules around Churchville, more than us, most of the time. So let me just state that. With that being said, I'm happy to move receipt of the application and all of the delegations with the correspondence, and to everybody that sent in a letter and delegated here today, you'll be specifically sent emails notifying you when that report will be coming back to planning. For those of you that have questions still or comments, you can always send in your questions to comments to your area councilors, myself and Councillor Barr, but also our planning staff as well. They will provide as much information as they can prior to the report being written, but committee won't be providing any comments whatsoever until that staff report is written, because that's the proper thing to do. And it's been moved, and all in favor, that carries. I will now move to so that's it for that one. Like I said, you'll be notified. If you'd like to stick around for the next report, it's a pretty good report. But I'll wait a couple minutes until everybody leaves. Not everybody leaves. It was helped by Councilor Tour. Right? Yes. Careful, Marianne. She took her hand off the railing to wait. I gotta finish this. Call me tomorrow, yeah. Yep, okay. I'm trying. Okay, thanks everybody. We're going to go on to the staff report by Allison Sander, strategic leader. It was held by Councillor Tour. Councillor Tour, you have any questions?
Thank you, through you, Mr. Chair. Went through the report. Want to say thank you, Allison. That's a really good report, and that highlights some of the exceptions to a relief on committee of adjustment application fees. Just a few questions. One, how many applications?
Sorry, Councillor Tour, I'm going to stop you for a second. Do you hear he's kind of coming in and out? I don't know if it's on our end or his end, but Councillor Tour, let's try that again with going to your question.
Sure, Councillor Palashi. Hopefully you can hear me better.
Yep.
My first question is, since the hike in the application fees, how many applications were granted any sort of a fee relief by the Committee of Adjustment?
Okay, Allison's coming down.
Chair, I understand that 5 applications have been approved so far.
And was that, like, when we say, like, there's a relief in fees, how much is that? Like, is that like a full fee waiver, or what are we talking about?
Through the chair, through to you, to Councillor Tour. We look at some of the data provided by clerk. So of the applications, actually 4, I think 1 is still being contemplated, but of the 4, two fees were reduced. Those applications were the applications that were in the $2,000 range, not the applications that were closer to $12,000. And then there were 2 applications that were reduced to the 2024 fees, because I gather there was some debate as to when those applications were actually received by the city in relation to the new fee structure.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Ganesh. Just based on the report, with the exceptions, or like a new process that's being highlighted, what would be the prescribed relief that would be granted to applicants?
So the framework articulated in the report, Councillor, doesn't actually propose various thresholds for the eligibility criteria. That discretion remains with the Committee of Adjustment to determine what sort of relief is approved. With the new framework, the application does require the applicant to request either a waiver or a reduction, and if it is a reduction, asks the applicant to state what the requested reduction is, and that's what would be reviewed by Committee of Adjustment. Very similar to today's process.
Okay, and lastly, under the Planning Act or the Municipal Act, how strongly, like, does the Committee of Adjustment need to abide by the criteria we set out? Like, are we able to hold them to this? Like, what I'm trying to say is, if somebody doesn't meet this criteria, can they still request a discount or a waiver or relief at the Committee of Adjustment?
To the chair, yes, they can. The guidelines or the framework proposed just provide recommendations or suggestions for committee's consideration when reviewing the requests. They ultimately have the discretion to approve or deny those applications, and this would just provide more of a structured triage process for them to assess those requests on.
Okay, got it. Thank you, Allison. No further questions, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much. Councillor, any other questions from members? Seeing none, been moved by Councillor Matete. All in favor? That carries. 9.1, the minutes were put into consent. There's no other business, no referred matters, no general correspondence. Councillor question period. No councillor has any questions. Public question period. Any members of the public still here? Seeing none. Any online that'd like to ask a question? None. There's no closed session. Our last item is adjournment. Been moved by Councillor Power to move tonight's adjournment. All in favor? That carries. Their next regular scheduled meeting is Monday, September 22nd, 2024, 1 p.m. or at the call of the chair. Thanks, everybody. Have a great night.